2016, and really introducing this cigar to everyone across the country.
Yeah.
And Nelson, again, being humble, will say, no, it's because of you and United that we were able to build this, and that's not the case. I always tell him, all I did was I built, I opened the doors to the Louvre, and all the artwork is that's your cigar, and I was just able to introduce it to people. Once they see it, once they try it, once they smoke it, that's where they're hooked on it, and it's I'm just humbled to be a part of it.
Thank you.
That is, I think I knew Nelson was on another level, and I was blessed to have Nelson invited me to the Habanos Festival, and I didn't realize how important he was in the world of Cuban cigars, because it took us 30 minutes to get 30 feet.
Right.
Everybody was stopping to talk to Nelson, so it was really a special time. Nelson, give us a little bit of your history and your family's history in the beginning of the journey into tobacco. I know that Byron started in 1850?
Yes.
Tell us about the background of the company and how it originated and kind of the roller coaster, the highs and the lows that it's taken over the years.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Well, about you asked me about how they developed the company, but in those days, in 1850, was a little village in Havana that my family, we are talking about 6th generation, that they make cigars to the village, to only local cigars. And then because our family is among another 3,000 liter factory who do that also in Cuba, 3,000. More than 3,000, and they was one of those. And they start to develop that in 1850, and then they grow a little bit, and they in the second generation, late on the end of the century, of the 19th century, they start to sell cigar to England, but very little quantity, because in those days the cigars was making to export about for the big company, not little company. Little company there was enough with the sales in Cuba. So the big company sells into export. The brand like Hoyo de Monterrey, Partagas. And there was another part of little company who also makes cigars. So a lot of distributors didn't have another way to buy cigar to England, to Europe. So they buy to liter factory to also distribute by themselves directly to Europe and to California too. California have in those days a lot of import of Cuban cigar. And then in the beginning of the 20th century, in 1902, 1903, the family became bankrupt. The business, they only have 12 rollers, 12, 30, very little, okay. Because they was not paid by the English distributor of the cigar they bought for 2 years. So they become bankrupt, and then another company, Alvarez, it was a company who bought a lot of liter factory. They buy the factory to my family, and there was a lapse from the beginning of 1992 to the 50 years without the Byron brand didn't belong to us. Then late on the 20th century, I recover the brand again, and I start to trademark all over the world, because I wanted to make cigar with the original brand that we had on those days. And then I started to do that. I started to do cigars 15 years ago. So then I concentrate my sales in United States, in a very few retailer, maybe 10 retailer in all United States, maybe 20. And because we don't produce so many cigars, because the cigars I want, we would like to do this to people enjoy it and another kind of cigar. So we make a lot of aging. We start in the leaves tobacco. Right. So we don't have enough capacity to make more cigar than what we do. So little by little we are trying to grow, and now we have concentrated maybe in 10 stores, and we have, for example, 5 stores, 10 that is our VIP store. One of those is in ICC here. And that is why we do it. We don't want to increase the production because we don't want to lose the consistency of our cigar. We want to keep the same cigar. So, and after also because we make a lot of aging process, aging the leaves. We only works with old leaves. The tobacco is old, and then we roll them, and after we roll them, we make another aging time for 3 even to 5 years, depending the phase of the cigar. So it's impossible to increase fast. We need now, after 10 years, maybe we have increased maybe 10% a year. Every year we increase 10 or 20%. So we have more demand that we can produce.
If I can jump in with Nelson, if you can explain, because you talk about the aging process of the cigars post-roll. The tobacco is already 5 to 7 plus years before it's rolled when you select it, but then when you roll the cigars, your aging process, it's not a typical, I roll the cigar, I put it in a humidor, I leave it there for 5 years. If you could just kind of maybe expand on how you age the cigar and the difference between your aging process as opposed to an aged cigar.
Yes. Yeah. Normally, all in the industry, they age cigar. They just put the cigar in the rooms, and spend a time of the aging. We also do that, but to understand this, you have to go back to when you fermented the cigar, the leaves, the tobacco plant is the fermentation. You have to put water on the leaves, and then you have to turn the leaves in big bales, and then the fermentation is with water, and then you can feel the leaves warm.
The heat.
Very warm. So after you roll the cigar, you cannot do that. But we do it in some way. We do that. We in our rooms, we have big rooms to do the fermentation. We do it's an aging fermentation because we over humidify the rooms so the cigar breathes in all the humidity. And then we cut the humidity and put it down, so the humidity take out of the cigar all the resin, all the nicotine. So it is like to clean a cigar after roll. You have to clean it. How you clean it? You have to over humidify and cut the humidifier during years. Then we remove the cigar from the rooms, and with sandpaper, all the room is from cedar. A lot of maybe 5-6 origin of cedar, and then we put again the cigar and turn on again humidity and dehumidifier, and that is what we try to do to clean the cigar. It's not like so. After some time you doing that, you smoke the cigar and you don't have a hard nicotine and hard effect. Even a lot of people say that this is a mild cigar. It's not a mild.
No.
It's because the people, the majority, 90% of the people think it's strong because it's beating. Oh, this is strong, it beats. But no, it's because It's not bit because it's clean, not because they have strengths. I used to inhale this cigar. I inhale cigar. It is a strong cigar for me, and that is what people are confused. What it is, strong cigar or mild cigar? People, if it's mild, it's because it don't beat. If it's strong, it's because it's very hard. That is not the strength for me. The strength, if cigar is beat, it's because it is not. It is not clean enough. It is not fermented enough. If it's not aged enough, it's because that beats. So we try to play with that and try to do a clean cigar.
One of the other things I noticed that when we tour factories in the Dominican or Nicaragua, they're so concerned about the volume of how many cigars that they can make, and their rollers are pushed, almost literally pushed, to roll as many cigars as they can in a day.
Yes.
But you take a different approach to that.
Yes. Normally a roller is two rollers involved to make a cigar. The one who make the binder and the filler, the bunch, and then the other one who make the wrapper.
Right.
Normally they do 400 to 500 a day, both. We only do 130 or up to 200. So we do the half because we use also two
binders.
Two binder to hide the vein, and they take care to make a cigar that.
So that's interesting. I know that binder controls the combustion rate of the cigar, controls the speed that the cigar burns, but is the main reason you use two binders to cover up the veins in the tobacco, or does it have something to do also with the flavor?
Yes. No, normally the binder is not so. The binder have influence also in the taste, of course. But one of the reasons we do two binder is to hide the vein and to have like more tube, not to hide the vein. Also for Atabey, for example, we use a very thin wrapper, very thin. And one of the most reasons we use two binder because after like I told you, we make a big fermentation, big aging time. The cigar losing 2 ring gauge, losing, and it is, for example, at 52 ring gauge, it became in 50 ring gauge, and if it's over humidified, it can be to 54. So it is breathing all the time, breathing. So you have to have a good, strong binder to not destroy.
To protect that wrapper. Otherwise, it'll pop.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we have a question coming in. We're asking where exactly is the tobacco grown in Spain?
No, tobacco is not grown in Spain. No, tobacco.
You're in Spain.
I'm in Spain. But the tobacco is a mixing of many regions. You have Dominican, you have Brazil. The most I use is from Peru. Peruvian cigar. Peruvian cigar is tobacco is a leaf that I like. It's more sweet. Nobody wants to grow that we call pelo de oro. It's a tree that is very little, half size, like the normal tree. So it is to make business with that.
The yield is very low on a smaller plant, so more
it's not
expensive.
business to make because you have the labor work. The water is the same to make a little plant than the big plant.
Same.
So it is expensive hard to cultivate that kind because you don't have so many leaves.
And then this wrapper is Ecuadorian.
Yeah, Ecuadorian. Yeah.
Ecuadorian, Connecticut. And what are some of the other wrappers that we really see on the Byron line? What are some of the more or the dominant wrappers that you use?
Yes. We use different seeds, but and also different region of always Ecuador. We try to. We don't want to change the origin of the wrapper because it's a risk because that can change the flavor of cigar.
Yeah.
So in all the time we use in the same field, same harvest, the same wrapper, different seeds. So that's why one is Connecticut, one is Habanos. So Habanos the name, not the origin. But we try to always. We do always our wrapper from the same region.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
You have any other questions that are rolling in?
No, that was the last one that came in.
So, so Nelson, your background is really originally in Cuba.
Yes, originally in Cuba. I born in Cuba. My family always was. My parent was not involved in the cigar. It was my grandfather, but not my father directly. So in Cuba, I was more in the beginning when I was younger. I studied design and painter, and I used my knowledge of the design to make the design of my own brands. No? So it is very. The people who make cigars normally don't make this design, and vice versa. So I try to do both.
So today, in addition to making these great cigars, you also have a design company.
Yes.
That does that your primary client is Habanos, all the Cuban brands, and you do what for them? Make whether it's labels, boxes, what other types of things do you do?
Yes. No, it is absolutely different. That is a Spanish company, because this is a cigar manufacturing company. It's not advertising. So, yes, I do the design of Habanos brand, and also the packaging. And I also produce some of those boxes, their special editions boxes. Yes,
well,
but that is totally different. Have nothing to do with this.
You don't have to walk far into our humidor to see the quality of the packaging that you use. And I think I actually met Oliver in 2016. It was before we had our cigar store, but knew that was where we were going. So I went to the trade show at the time, IPCPR, and I remember walking through the booth, and I said, I don't know how this cigar tastes, but we're going to sell it because the packaging is so good.
Yes, it's good that you take that up. That is a very big frustration for me, because a lot of people buy this cigar for the packaging, and I spend 99% of my time doing the cigar, not the packaging, because
you're doing really well at both, by the way.
Yes, but I prefer people buy the cigar for the cigar, not for the packaging. But unfortunately, a lot of people like the packaging, and they buy. And sometimes in all the store that I go to the event, they go to me to sign the boxes, and I ask him, why you buy this box? Have you tasted the cigar? I say, no. Why you buy that? You should not buy that, because I am not selling packaging, I sell the cigar. So it's frustrating, because I want that people appreciate more the cigar than the packaging.
Yeah, they may buy for the packaging first, and I think that's what kind of set Selected Tobacco apart from a lot of the manufacturers out there. But it's bringing people back, because once they smoke the cigar, they come back and they purchase, and it actually that brings me into industrial cigars, because before you guys even started, I did the same thing with you guys. There was no store, nothing was built yet, but I saw the design work, what their plan was, what their vision was, and what they wanted to do in the industry as a family, building this what I considered very unique. Focused on hospitality and bringing something fresh and clean to the industry, and I fell in love with it, with industrial cigars before the store opened up, and then I was able to watch from a distance from Massachusetts. But you guys were doing a lot of Facebook Live, I think it was, where you were showing the construction. You were doing tours with your customers.
Tours,
So once I saw that, we kind of opened the account with you guys first, because it was I knew that the pairing there was going to be unstoppable.
And that's a great way to put it, because we talk so much about pairing with cigars and spirits and cigars and coffee and things like that. And there's A lot of guys are always looking for that perfect pairing. In this case, we have a perfect pairing because the people that are here tonight, the people that come in on a regular basis, they appreciate the quality, they appreciate the attention to detail, they appreciate the desire for perfection, and we both share that. And our customers, they're not even customers, they're family that appreciate that. So that's why I think this works so well together, because like-minded people get a lot of stuff done.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that we have with Nelson and Oliver as just one of our vendor partners that is just puts our relationship just ahead of almost anything, and it's an incredible thing for us.
That is very important. For example, today, this night, Oliver and me was preparing the new launch of our new brand, and we share all together with Freight family, because it's important. Oliver like as a distributor and sales, I am like manufacturer, so we share, not with everybody, with Freight we share what we are going to do for the next year, so I like to hear what there is the opinion, and actually today we have a meeting and we changed a little bit the idea because Freight suggests us like a retailer, so we have to go back from retailer to distributor to manufacturer to the design. So that is why when you work with like people like a family like Freight, it's easy to build up the next project. That is what it's very important. It's very important.
That's a special relationship that y'all have, and we see it. We see it in the smoke. We see it in the environment. We have another question coming in, Nelson. Can you share with us what factories you use?
Yes, we roll our cigar in a factory in Costa Rica.
Okay.
In Costa Rica. Normally what we do is we bring the tobacco plants and to the Costa Rica, and that is a very little factory. We know we have a good also like family.
Good.
We like my son have lived in there, so they do the rolling, very skilled rolling. For me is the best. So they put a good attention that after 10 years we work like with the retailer, also with the rolling company.
Okay.
So we try to keep the same to continue what we done from the beginning. To not change nothing.
Yeah, and I think what Industrial Cigars does that works well with your brand is the constant education of not only their customers but people outside of this area with their with these different podcasts. So you know what you do differently is you're constantly educating, and what that does is it makes people understand that the way they live their lives typically can translate to the cigar industry. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of cigar smokers now, they'll grab a cigar, they enjoy it, but not always fully understanding it. And today's cigar smokers much more educated. They have a much more refined palate, but sometimes they don't fully understand it. But in their lives, typically, they know what a good product is. Like they'll go to, say like a Five Guys burger as opposed to a McDonald's. They're grabbing, an aged Scotch or an aged bourbon as opposed to a Jack Daniel's. And when you talk about, we talk about a cigar that hits your mouth differently. I think that's full-bodied. I always equate it back to, if you're drinking a bourbon and you drink a Jack Daniel's, great whiskey, it does, obviously it's very popular, but there's a lot of heat up front.
Right.
But once you get into the aged scotches and the aged bourbons, the heat is reduced, but now it just opens up all these flavor notes and all these different characteristics. Yeah. It doesn't mean that the bourbon or that spirit is any less potent or as strong. You can have a 101 proof or 100 proof that's smooth because it might be aged, but a 90 proof or an 80 proof, it just has so much bite because it doesn't take that time to process. So it's very similar to what Nelson does with his cigars.
We talk a lot about how he kills flavor And it's interesting you bring up that point. And I always make a point when we're talking to customers. What does hot soup taste like? It tastes like hot until it cools down. Right. And that's the one thing that Atabey cigars and Byron's and Bandoleros deliver. It's the fact that it's so clean, that it's so pure, that you're able to taste everything in that cigar. And it's to me, this is the perfect cigar for me. Strength. It's got depth. It's complex. It's not one note throughout the cigar. And I think the thing that I appreciate the most about this cigar is I could give it to somebody that's having their first cigar and they know something special is happening. They know it's good.
Yeah.
A lot of people that take whatever they think their first cigar is supposed to be, they find out real quick, I'm not really sure if I like this. Right. But I can give this to a newbie, or I can give it to somebody that's been smoking cigars for 20 years, and the light goes off. And it's no different than eating gourmet food or having the perfect dessert. You put it in your mouth and you just go, that's it. That makes me happy.
Yes.
And I think that is not only, now here's the other thing to that though, consistency.
Yes, that is
every year.
That is
it's
very,
good.
very complicated, mate.
There are companies that deliver something 6 months earlier that tastes totally different than what they just delivered today.
Yes, and that is the most complicated to this work. Very complicated. That's why we had to talk. We had to start from the tobacco plant to up to the cigar. It's a lot of steps, maybe more than 200 steps, and that's why we put a lot of attention in the fermentation. Because if you do cigar with not a good, a well fermented tobacco, it destroys everything. It is like you have a meat, a food, and put too much salt, it disappears everything. The salt is the resin of the extra tobacco. You can have a very beautiful plant, very good, and if you not, it is like you remove the salt to later you have all the flavor, because if you have too much salt in your food, you don't feel no flavor, you only feel salt. And this extra salt is what some people call strong cigar. No, it is too much salt. That's why you lose a lot of flavor, a lot of colors. Right. Because we try to remove that.
I noticed there's a lot of cigar manufacturers, and Oliver, you've seen it for years, that take subpar tobacco, but they'll throw a couple leaves in it that really delivers a lot of pepper, that delivers a lot of spice. And that's almost to your analogy of using too much salt. If you can concentrate and get past that pepper, you realize there's really nothing going on in those cigars. So you're actually not using any spices, so to speak, to just let the tobacco, let's just have the tobacco for what it is.
You have to smoke tobacco, not a salt or extra resin.
It's a dry aged steak.
Yes.
Right? As opposed to just a steak. When you dry age it, that aging process brings out so much more flavor. And that's what he does with the first fermentation, then that second fermentation aging process.
We had that back in Nebraska. We grew up in Nebraska where every meal is a huge steak, right? Well, there were certain restaurants in town that would bring a beautiful steak to the table, and you would say, "Can I have salt?" No. Can I have some A1 sauce?
A1 steak.
No.
Right.
Okay, I can't have any pepper? No.
No. Yeah.
Just try it first.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
That's what happens.
Yeah. We're not serving a Swanson dinner Salisbury steak. This is legit.
Yeah. Another question.
There's a time and place for those.
Another question coming in, Nelson. Can you talk about the rolling process of the leaves and the philosophy behind the airflow of the cigars?
The rolling. No.
So when you had told me at one point, with draw testing, there's a very specific amount of, you want a certain amount of airflow to flow through, so that in a sense the performance is perfect, and that I guess that oxygen is an element of the flavor.
Yes. Yeah. To be honest, the rolling we make is the roll that is the normal roll. We don't have nothing special to be rolled. Only we roll it like it have to be proper way. Only that proper way. Of course, we with the ligero in the middle. We roll it normally, but normally like how it should be made. We do it in a normal way.
The positioning of the leaves.
Yes,
as
of
well.
course. It is
The tip.
It's not nothing tip. It's like it have to be done. So nothing special. It's
Nothing
like,
special.
No, nothing.
I think there's something special here. There is something special. For sure.
Yeah, that's great chefs know exactly what order to put things in and exactly how much to put in it.
Yes, normally to keep the same consistency, you cannot make a cigar with the same formula. 1.5 ligero, 2/3 of volado and seco. We cannot do that because sometimes the leaves of that harvest have more strength, so you have to cut a little. You have to have it in one leaf, not 1.5 year, 1.5 ligero like you do the year before. Because this year the ligero have more strength, so you have to cut. So to keep the same consistency, you have to change your blend.
That's what an interesting thing to think about. Because of course every year the crops are going to be different.
Yeah.
And when you start thinking about how much attention to detail, we talk about that all the time, but the attention to detail, to think that at the beginning of the year, or whenever you start to roll those cigars, you're gonna taste that tobacco. You're gonna look at the thickness of that tobacco.
Yes,
you're gonna look at all those things and go, this is gonna change things. We've got to make adjustments.
Absolutely.
Constantly adjusting. I think there's a lot of guys that just looked at the recipe they used 3 years ago and went, 2 of these, 1 of those, 6
No,
of
you
those, and
cannot
we keep it the
repeat
same.
Roll it up and call it.
Yeah.
Some don't even know that recipe. But can we touch on the brilliance that I think maybe some of us missed? Is again the humbleness of Nelson. He could have given you some ridiculous answer of how is it different? Oh, it's because we do this process, oh, you have to take it. It doesn't overcomplicate it.
No.
And I think that's, some of the industry, we overcomplicate it. I got into smoking cigars because it was in my family, they smoked cigars, and it was a way for me to just escape. And it was a relaxation. And the more we complicate it, the more we complicate the minds of the consumers, and then they don't have the time to relax and they're overthinking it. Some people say, I can't taste this, I don't know how they do this. In the end, light the cigar and enjoy it. And Nelson's right. I mean, they don't do anything different for the rolling, but it's the quality control, because his mound, his pile of cigars that he rejects is, and not because they would go into a lot of different boxes, but it might be like one small discoloration or one small this, small that. He takes them out, so it's the quality control.
Sure.
I think that rolling process that makes it different.
And that is important subject because, for example, some year we don't have the tobacco leaves to make some cigar. For example, now Oliver asking me for Petit Poema of Byron. I don't have Petit Poema. But why if you have all your leaf, because that is not the Petit Poema I want to put in the market. So sometimes we don't have that cigar because we want to keep the consistency. So if this year we don't have the same blend, we decide to one specific size of cigar, we don't do it. We don't do it. Simple that.
You don't force it.
That's good.
Even Oliver asked me, I want to buy you 10,000 of this cigar. I don't have. I cannot do that. I don't have.
Yeah. When's the Gran Poema ready? Or the limited release, the Gran Poema for Byron Gran Poema 19th century, the Habanero in the 20th century, the Elegante in the 21st century. Those are limited and have been limited in the past years to 200 humidors per year. But they're never released at the same time, because I'll talk to Nelson and say, okay, well, when can we do this release? So I want to do the press release. I want to get it out to retailers. I want to inform. It's not ready yet. I need another 3 months because it's sitting there, but it's not ready. It's not ready. We need time.
And Oliver, that sells out because he promotes a cigar that latest he don't have. For example, for this year, normally we do $200 of Gran Poema. For the next year, we will have $300, 300 instead 200, because we have the leaves to do that. So I tell next year you can have 100 more. Maybe 1 year ago you only have $100. So that is
Well, with a business hat on, I'd like to have a constant flow of product. But the real me, the person that I am, I'll wait for perfection.
yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Okay, thank you.
Doesn't always pay the bills, but but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Any other questions rolling in?
We have a comment coming in saying that that's next level attention. Your attention to the brand and your cigars is next level. You're being called brilliant, and it's just he says wow. So yeah, everything that you're doing for the brand and the cigar, your attention to detail is perfection.
Well, I try to be perfect. I think I am not in that point yet. I think, but I try to
think
do.
it's pretty close.
I try to do. I do my
You're
best.
close.
So we talk a lot about Atabey and Byron, but you have another line which is Bandolero. How would you best describe Bandolero?
Yes. Bandolero, it is. I try. Atabey and Byron is an expensive cigar. It's an expensive cigar. So I try to put in the market a cigar that have a price that is affordable to. So I do the Bandolero. I try. I give the same soul and the same love to Bandolero, even if it's half price than the other one. But Bandolero, I try to put more in the market, so I age them little less time. That is the
Is that really? That's why I'm wondering how do you make a cigar for less money? Is it different quality tobacco or?
Yes, good that you, because one of the reason of the aging time. If you age a cigar for many years in the room, that cigar will be more expensive. Because you have a work to do, you have more time in the cedar, and in the cedar or on the blend of wood, because we make blend of wood. So Bandolero is have the same or near the same filler, but we try to reduce the time of the aging period.
Okay.
That is the difference.
It's an incredible cigar, and while in a lot of people that are watching, a $25 or a $35 cigar is a very expensive cigar, we don't disagree. But when you look at the Atabey and Byron, what they compare to that top shelf, there are other cigars that live up there that are $100, $250, $500 a cigar, and this is a tremendous value. I say the same thing about Bandolero. While Bandolero kind of sits in that $15 range, it really performs as well as some of these $20 and $25 cigars that are out on the market, if not better. So you're still delivering great value, even though you might be pushing somebody's limits on what they normally spend. It's a $6 smoker typically is not going to jump to $16. But a $10 smoker should.
Yes,
and really find out what the difference is. But it's so noticeable. It is so noticeable as soon as you light one of these up.
Yes, that's why, like I just told you, that Bandolero have not the same aging period like Atabey and Byron, with that special wood humidor, cedar, blend of cedar. The Bandolero box, the box of Bandolero is made by cedar, so they will have their own cedar, not blend cedar because they have only one kind of cedar, but they age by themselves in the box of cedar. That's why it's more cheap to age them on their box of cedar than to this Atabey and Byron that it is in room of different cedar. Because the cedar is very important in my opinion, for the cigar.
Yeah.
The cedar.
And you use in your room, right, sealing the floor, 5 different Five different cedars.
5 different cedars.
From different parts of the world.
Yes, minimum
Yep.
5. Yes, I use different cedar. One of the cedar is to avoid the bugs because
Because there's no fumigation.
no, we don't.
all natural.
One of our problem, and I apologize that some have a little hole, and that we remove that. We don't put that in the market because we don't use fermentation for fumigation.
Fumigation, yeah.
So the seed, and then the other seed is for the aroma. Another one, the rest of the cedar is a blend of aroma. It's like the wine. When you make a wine, you store the liquid, the wine in barrels, and a good wine, expensive wine, use a very expensive barrel. Roble in English, I don't know. Roble, the wood of roble.
Oak, Brandon.
Oak.
French-
he was,
French
he was
oak.
asking.
I got it.
Yes, oak.
Some in
That's
Spanish.
why I'm French oak.
Oak.
He's listening to Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
He's not listening to us.
For example, Oliver, that is, their family is from
Oh, he's
France.
15 seconds behind.
Yeah. If you want to make an expensive wine, a good wine, you put your wine of oak,
Yeah.
and maybe the barrel of that special wine, the price is 3,000 euros. 3,000 euros
Yep.
to have 200 bottles of wine.
Okay.
So when you buy an expensive wine, you can see in the back they talk more about. They say grape from this family, and the rest is talking about the oak. This most in this oak, American oak, 1 year in French oak, and they put more attention in the oak. They talk more about the oak than about the grapes.
Rather than the wine.
So
grapes.
that is the same of the cigar. The oak for the wine is the same of the cedar for the cigar. So when you buy a barrel of 3,000 euros, you have to divide 3,000 euro by 200 bottles.
3,000 euros.
Euros.
Yeah.
A good wine, a good Bordeaux. Bordeaux. Or even California, they have expensive because not oak is the same. It's you have different kind of oak.
Yep.
So it's important the aging with the cigar to the cigar, in my opinion.
So a question's coming in, and Dustin is asking, what advice would you give a new cigar smoker trying to develop their palate? So we have had this conversation, and we started a group called Cigar Newbies, and it's a place for people that are getting they're new to cigars, and they can ask questions, but we'll answer the questions for them, versus just throwing something out on social media and seeing who's going to answer the question for them, because you never know what the result's going to be. So we answer those questions, and at the beginning, when they come into Newbies, they have to answer questions, and one of them is, what do you want to learn about cigars? And it is constantly, how do I pick out notes? How do I learn what I'm tasting? How do I do that? And we've kind of simplified it, and I want to see if you believe this to be true, Nelson, or if you have a different idea. But I believe, rather than worrying, and I think you touched on this, worrying about cedar and oak and all these different flavors, if the cigar tastes good to you, it's good.
100%.
And don't get so focused on, is it 71% humidity or 70? I guess I got to let this dry out. I don't know. And they're so worried about it. Don't we just have to enjoy the cigar?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For a new person who wants to start to smoke cigar, I recommend that you give them a very clean cigar, because if you give them a very hard cigar, they never want to put a cigar more in their mouth. So you try to start a little cigar, and maybe mild or clean, whatever you want to call it. because it is hard for a new person who wants to smoke.
But isn't that the challenge? Because the answer is correct. Start out with a cigar that's got great tobacco, that's very clean, but the challenge that somebody that is new doesn't know what questions to ask, and they're dealing with a lot of times retailers or worse yet on the internet that is never going to answer that question. But how would they know? How would the salesperson know that they're talking to at a retail store know that this is clean tobacco? And that's the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the challenge. And I think we, again, overcomplicate it. And I think the best thing for a newbie to do is to go to a local brick and mortar, go to your local tobacconist, because that's what they're there for. There aren't too many industries that you can go into and have somebody that caters specifically to you, doesn't upcharge you for their service. You go to a local tobacconist, you have somebody that will provide a service to direct you to the right cigar for you. And some of the first questions that a retailer or a tobacconist should really find out about the customer is their palate, where it is. Because I know at this table, if we all go out to eat, we're going to like 4 different foods. We may all like the same plate. Like, let's talk about, look, I love tacos. I'm going to revert back to that. But if we go to a local taco truck, I like my tacos a little cleaner. I don't want, the sauce. I don't want it overly spicy. Like you were talking about salt. I always go to steaks and I say, if it's like taking a steak and putting Tabasco on it. You're going to ruin the steak. You're not going to taste the flavor. Yeah. So for a newbie, let's not overcomplicate it. And when I was on the retail side, one of my jokes was just really start from the left and go to the right, because everyone has a different palate. Everyone can have a different experience with a cigar. But when we're trying to get into this hobby, recreational activity to relax, we go to the resources that we have, and that's magazines, online reviews, because that's where we want to start to learn. And sometimes the first cigar that somebody tries is a cigar from someone's humidor that person doesn't like. It's a cigar they're trying to get rid of. We all have a humidor, and that top layer, bottom layer, whatever layer you have, you designate to the guy or friend that's coming up that doesn't know the difference. So sometimes that first experience with a cigar is the worst possible thing you could do. You hear a lot of people that start smoking cigars, they're like, I didn't like the taste, or I could taste the cigar for 3 days after I smoked it. Now, when I smoke Atabey and Byers, anything from Selected Tobacco, I know I smoked a cigar, but my palate is so clean. I don't have that lingering ashtray taste. It's very, very clean on the palate. So for a newbie, I always say, figure out, do you like your coffee strong? Figure out a food or a drink that they might like, and then kind of pair the cigar to that, because a newbie may have a more palate that's a little more awake than someone else's, and they might be a little more sensitive to something that's overpowering. Right.
There is one thing we do recommend here for people that are trying to develop their palate. The average person is going to smoke a cigar, they're done with it, they light another cigar, and they don't remember those notes. They just know they smoked a cigar. So we'll actually recommend that people grab cigars from maybe 2 countries of origin and smoke them at the same time. Because you can notice a difference when you smoke 2 different cigars at the same time, but it's a harder challenge to smoke one and then smoke another and get that same difference. So we'll try to get people to find maybe a country of origin that they like, or maybe a wrapper that they like. Here, try a Habano, try a Corojo, try a Connecticut, and just experiment around. But in the end, to me, my favorite cigar is the one that just, like you said, you take a bite of something, you take a bite of food, and you either like it or you don't. And that's going to be the same thing with cigars, and tequila, and coffee, and everything else.
Well, I mean, you always ask the question. I always get asked, what's my favorite gun, right? And it's the one in my hand at the time. What's my favorite cigar? It's the one in my hand at the moment in time. And going back to the comment that you made, Oliver, about, go to your local B&M, talk to the tobacconist there. That's the beauty of ICC, because you'll come in here as a newbie, maybe a seasoned smoker, you'll get asked these questions, but I'm afraid that some of these shops local to here, CI being one of them, you're not going to get those questions. You're going to go in. They're going to say, "What do you like?" You're like, I don't know. I had a Padron, and so they're going to chase that whatever that cigar brand is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so if you're local to the Frisco area, hit up ICC. Right. If you're not from here, make the trip here. Many people have.
Or call us.
Yeah.
I mean, I have people that call up and say, I want $200 worth of cigars, you pick it, and we go through the questions, and we ask them, and we'll send them to them. But it is a journey. It's the same thing as anything that you're going to do in life. Cigars are a journey. Enjoy the ride, but do it for the reason that you stated, which is this is a delivery method for being relaxed. Give you a chance to just stop for a little while and enjoy people like we're doing tonight. I think this is what Cigars is about.
Yeah.
Us having a conversation. And that's really the ultimate goal. And that really should be where the journey takes you.
Yeah.
Is in with a group of people that you're like-minded, because we already have something in common.
Yep.
We all like these.
Yeah.
So wherever the conversation goes from that point, we know we have something in common.
It only gets better. We're getting asked to ask the big three.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if some of those have actually made it to Cuba. I'm maybe in Spain.
Possibly. Yeah.
And Brandon might have to translate for us on this. Okay, so Oliver and Nelson. Cigar Talk Live every week, we ask a series of questions. These questions are used for people to judge who you are. You like being judged.
I love being judged.
Yeah. So everybody that's out here, maybe half of the internet is watching this right now. We're going to ask you 3 questions.
10.
Scale of 1 to 10. What you believe in some of these cases. I'm not sure how this first one's going to work with Nelson. So the question is, do you know what Sasquatch is? Bigfoot? Yeti?
Bigfoot.
What would it be?
Is there a Spanish version for that?
A big frickin' monkey? Okay. So
So hold on. That's interesting because that could actually prove.
I don't know if
That could prove if it's real or not, because you can't tell me that the U.S. is the only place with forested areas, right? So why is it that?
No, so the Yeti is also a version of Sasquatch.
Yeti.
Well, Yeti, but the Yeti is more in the snow, right? In the northern, wherever it originated. I don't even know.
Canada, I don't know, maybe.
Russia's got a ton of woodland areas.
Yeti.
Yeti.
Okay,
Okay, Yeti.
Yeti.
He knows Yeti. He knows Yeti.
Okay, so you know who the Yeti is.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Do you believe that they exist?
I don't know.
Scale of 1 to 10.
No, it don't.
One, they don't exist.
For me,
10, you've given one a ride.
Is there anything below the 1?
Yeah, his zero.
No
Yeah, I
negative.
don't believe
There's no
I
negative.
don't believe they
No,
do.
we're good. We're
What are
good.
you?
I would go negative. I'm
negative?
negative. I'm a 0.
You're out.
You
Zero.
went negative.
Also zero.
Well, I'm not. Yeah. Also 0.
All right. Well, that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought for
This is going
sure.
great.
No.
Well, I mean, the guy spends a lot of time in Las Vegas. He's seen some hairy monsters. I can tell you that
I've
right
also
now.
seen about 1,000 Elvises. Doesn't mean it's real.
He's still alive. You know, he's my
Still-
dad.
he's still going.
That's right.
So question number 2. And your answer can't always be, I don't know. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. So question number 2 is UFOs, flying saucers, aliens.
Omnis. Okay.
Yeah. So
I need
do UFOs exist? And have they visited Earth?
Well, now that's multiple questions. But I would say I need a Sharpie because I'm gonna put down a 10 on that. And
10?
I'm gonna put it in non-removable ink.
10.
10.
Any experiences? Have you seen
No,
any
0
flashes of-
probing. No.
No probing, as far as you know.
I
There was that night that we were in Reno.
I have a hard time believing that we're the only ones in existence.
Yeah.
Now I don't necessarily believe a lot of the movies and how they shape them, craft them, make them look, but we're not the only ones here.
Yeah. What about you?
I also agree. Three. I mean, three.
Three.
That sounds like a soft 3. That might be.
No. I also think that, but I am not so clear of that. So.
Okay, so
Flying saucers.
Nelson's a 3. He's a hard 10.
If you look at tortillas, they kind of look like flying saucers, so they originated from somewhere.
Yeah, from an old Mexican lady.
Yeah, because
rolling
they
them
saw
out,
him in the sky. They came down. They hey, this is our spaceship. It looks like this. Make a tortilla like it.
Now he says where he's from in Texas, he's seen aliens all the
I
time,
see
but they're
aliens all
running
the time.
across the river.
El Paso, yeah, all the time.
Yes, yes. Right.
daily.
There are those aliens as well. But we're not the only ones.
So, question number 3.
I got it.
You got this one. So, question number 3 is ghosts. Do they exist? And if you believe and have had an experience, we need to hear.
Fantasma.
I don't have any experience of that. So but maybe it may exist, but I don't have any experience with that.
Okay.
Me neither.
Yeah.
You?
Well, he's had the demon baby, but
Yeah, no experiences. Again, hard to. I would say I'd go a soft 3. I'm lower.
what about
lower
like
tier.
it wasn't Amityville Horror and all that stuff up in your neck of the woods?
I mean, I don't know.
There's
I
gotta
don't know.
be. There has got to be stuff up there in Boston.
There's a lot of meth up there too. So
Well,
I
that's
think
there.
people
Meth
start
is
to
everywhere.
think- right. To think that there's not some other presence. I don't think there's really not a. I believe more in. There's no coincidence. Like there's a reason. I do, not to get too hippie-ish, but I believe that there's enough energy around that there's some form that talks to us in different ways.
So spirits,
Yeah, maybe more spirits. Ghosts like Casper.
like something
yeah.
appears, no go. But spirits,
Spirits. I'll give it a 3. I'm a 3.
okay. So we're a negative 10, hard 10 in Sharpie, and a 3. And Nelson is, I don't know. And we all know that this guy doesn't believe in shit.
You're 0 across the board.
He's a 0 all the way across. I just can't wait until friggin' Sasquatch runs his truck off the road.
With the ghost running behind him and
Ghost
fucking
running
UFO
behind him.
right above there. Yeah.
You and UFOs giving him directions on where to go.
Yeah.
So with that,
Let's
I
actually. I
we
wanna-
got to give him his shirt.
Yes.
Nelson's shirt.
So, as part of the Cigars and Guns Shirt Club, we did a special collaboration with Atabe. Thank you to Nelson, obviously, and to Oliver for helping us do this. And I'd like to present you with your own Cigars and Guns shirt.
Thank you.
Open it.
Yeah, you gotta
Open it. It's
so
Christmas.
Nelson, so that Adrian started a Cigars and Guns T-shirt of the month club, and with the membership that you pay monthly, you get a new shirt, new design that that Adrian and Kathleen come up with every month, and you get a new shirt in the mail. And this was for the month of, is it June? June.
Very,
June,
very
yeah.
proud. Beautiful. Thank you.
Love the design. Thank you. Thank you. It's a one of a kind, never be made again, and hope you enjoy it.
Very beautiful. I promise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. Yes,
I can say that because I'm a proud member.
that's right.
I'm not the president, but I'm a proud member.
Well, first of all, we would like to thank everybody that's joined us this evening. We want to thank Oliver and, of course, Nelson. And I would be remiss if I didn't just say thank you from the bottom of my heart, from my family's heart, for making Industrial Cigars the world's first Atabe lounge. That means a lot to us. It was sad that you were not able to be here for the unveiling, but but Oliver made it real special. It says a lot to us about our relationship because it's your brand, and we're honored to have that flag flying in our shop.
It's my honor. For me, it's my honor. It's the first Alta-based cigar launch in the world. So it's me who have to thank you, not the cigars. It's me to have to thank you. It's more than a honor. It's tremendous what you are doing with this. Tremendous.
Well, Nelson and Oliver are going to be here through Saturday, various times throughout the time. Thank you for giving us your time on a Wednesday night. Thanks for coming in for this special edition of Cigar Talk Live. We will see you guys Saturday at the shop. These guys are going to be on there again too, but I think it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have some fun. Thank you guys.
Later, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you there.